right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Police cutting ties after a donor controversy.
Women shouldn't be in field and police officers.
They feel extraordinarily violated and disrespected.
Tonight, the fallout playing out with police departments across the region.
As we continue to talk about Francine and the remnants, it feels like the last few days this has looked exactly the same. And it sort of has, but we're watching this gradually move out over the next 24 hours. What that means for Monday, and if we'll see another chance of rain this week.
Our top story, another apparent plot against former President Donald Trump's life. Tonight, local leaders react after a life-saving catch by Secret Service. Tonight, former President Donald Trump is safe and unhurt. A suspect is in police custody. Good evening, I'm Mark Maxwell. Mike Bush has the night off. It happened this afternoon as the Republican presidential nominee was golfing at the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach, Florida. Investigators say they recovered an assault-style rifle at the scene. NBC's Alice Barr breaks down the latest developments in this case.
For the second time in 9 weeks, the FBI is investigating what it's calling an apparent assassination attempt against former President Trump. The former president was not hurt in the incident near where he was golfing at his course in West Palm Beach, Florida. One man is in custody. 3 senior law enforcement officials briefed on the matter tell NBC News that man is 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Ruth. This comes after authorities say a Secret Service agent spotted and fired at a suspect just outside the golf course fence line while the former president was golfing 300 to 500 yards away.
What they do is they have an agent that jumps one hole ahead of time to where the president was at. And he was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual, at which time the individual took off.
A witness reported seeing someone run out of the bushes and into a black Nissan and snapped a photo. Sheriff's deputies then tracked the license plate and quickly stopped this black Nissan, taking the suspect into custody.
In the bushes where this guy was is a AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks which were hung on the fence that had ceramic tile in them, and a GoPro.
The incident raising new questions about securing the former president and Republican nominee. The Secret Service faced sharp criticism after former President Trump survived an attempted assassination at a Pennsylvania rally in July. The former president saying he is safe and well and will never surrender. Vice President Harris saying she had been briefed on the situation, was glad he is safe and, quote, violence has no place in America. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
President Joe Biden also released a statement on the assassination plot, echoing Harris's words and condemning political violence. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley reacting to the news online tonight, posting, "Pray for God's protection over President Trump and his family. Evil is after him." In Illinois, Senator Dick Durbin also reacting, writing, "I'm glad there were no injuries. The former president is safe and the suspect has been apprehended. Violence has no place in America. This must stop." Shifting gears now, a live look over St. Louis. We're still seeing remnants of Francine across the region. Weather impact meteorologist Gary Frank is tracking a return of dry and some hot times ahead, Gary.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be like this as we work our way into the second half of September, but it's kind of what we've been settling into, and we were hoping for Francine to give us a nice break from that, and some of you have seen a break from that. Cloud cover, rain, not so much as we look downtown. Earlier, that shot had some rain on it. Mid to upper 60s right now, low 70s for some, and we've kind of seen more uniform temps than we did earlier with some of our highs near 90 today. Rolla and areas up to the south, they're saying, what 90? It was cloudy. It was rainy through most of the day. We struggled to get to 80, and now those clouds continue to hang around. And I think overall, we're not going to drop a whole lot. It is mostly cloudy, so I don't think we're going to change a whole lot by the time you see Anthony in 4 a.m. But this week, Francine remnants are finally exiting tomorrow. I finally have to stop talking about them and how they're bringing clouds and isolated showers, but it's hot and dry again. And that's the big story for us this week. How hot it gets in comparison to where we should be this time of the year, and if we'll see any chance of rain here over the next 7 days, Mark.
New tonight, many in the police community upset and cutting ties with local fitness entrepreneur Andy Frisella. This coming after he made derogatory comments on his podcast about women in law enforcement. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski talked with current and former officers who called his remarks disgusting.
Andy Frisella, the co-owner of First Forum, a St. Louis supplement and fitness company, is on damage control after these comments he made during his podcast episode that came out on National Policewoman Day.
Why, in my opinion, women shouldn't be in field and police officers. I just don't think they should be. Every woman cop I've ever dealt with, every single one that I've ever been pulled over by, tried to make me feel like and if that person didn't have a badge or a gun, you could punch a hole through their face and end their life. And they're talking to you like you're a piece of shit.
This comment came up after they talked about Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill being arrested last weekend. The episode has been taken down, and there was a second one put up talking about these remarks again.
Did I overgeneralize? Yeah, for sure. And I do that sometimes. That's the nature of how I speak.
Frisella did post another 12-minute audio-only podcast episode called I Messed Up and I'm Sorry.
I said some things on the show on Thursday that after thinking about it and after having it pointed out to me, that I feel very regretful for saying. Embarrassed that I said it. Doesn't reflect who I am.
Despite the various attempts to clarify and apologize, both the St. Louis County and City Police Departments released statements condemning Frisella's comments and officially severed all ties to Frisella and First Form. St. Louis Police Chief Robert Tracy said in a statement his overall and disparaging comments do not reflect our views or core values and have no place in the SLMPD. St. Louis County Police Association Executive Director Joe Patterson says Frisella and his company have been major donors to law enforcement charitable organizations and backstoppers.
And we truly do appreciate that previous support. But one of the things I heard from a lot of my women officers, they said, Joe, it has to be clear we cannot be bought. We cannot forgive him for saying this just because of the good he's done in the past.
How hard is this for all these women who put their lives on the line every day?
It's really disturbing for them, both emotionally and just they feel extraordinarily violated and disrespected.
Former and current policewomen in the St. Louis area called Frisella's remarks disgusting and said they'd never support his business again. One said in a statement to 5 on Your Side, as a longtime supporter of First Forum, I am highly disappointed in Mr. Frisella's derogatory and inflammatory statements regarding women in policing. The violence he depicted towards women is scary. Reporting in St. Louis, Laura Barczewski, 5 on Your Side.
5 on Your Side reached out to Frisella tonight. He has not yet responded. Right now, police are investigating a shooting that put 2 people in the hospital. It happened just before 1 o'clock this morning outside the Quick Trip on Choteau. Police say a 19-year-old man was found shot outside of a party bus. Another 19-year-old man was found shot inside that bus. Witnesses say a dark SUV pulled up and started shooting at them. If you know anything about what happened, you can call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. Tonight, charges have been filed in a major case squad investigation in Cahokia Heights. 19-year-old David F. Hodges faces first-degree murder charges in Monday night's shooting death of 18-year-old DeMonte Mosley. Investigators are still asking for witnesses to come forward. Startling new surveillance video shows 4 armed men in masks robbing a Baldwin business yesterday of hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of jewelry. Tonight, police are still looking for them. Our Mercedes McKay spoke with the store manager who recounts those traumatic moments.
Islam Abdul Majid was back at work Sunday, less than 24 hours after the unthinkable happened in his family-owned jewelry shop in Baldwin.
I really don't expect stuff like this to happen, especially around these areas.
Cameras from outside the Hobb jewelry store capturing this moment just before noon Saturday. What looks like an old man asking to be buzzed into the store. Abdul Majid, thinking it was any other customer, let the man in.
He opened the door and another guy came in running to me at gunpoint. And by that time, I knew it was too late to do anything.
Surveillance video from inside the shop showing the 4 suspects sprinting inside. Abdul Majid and 1 employee crouched behind the desk while one of the suspects held a gun to their faces. The masked robbers stealing at least $500,000 worth of jewelry in just 2 minutes.
Plaza was kind of busy at the time. It was around lunchtime and a lot of people were out, seeing what's going on and stuff. And so it's very traumatic.
Trauma that has already led to change. Armed security now manning the door.
We're hoping this won't happen again. We'll probably be putting in security, more security alarms on the doors, and we'll be working on a new system for the store.
While the open sign is still flashing, Abdul Majid wants everyone to know they'll be safe when they visit the shop as this family-owned business pushes forward.
We work hard to get this money, and it's a really big amount. We could do a lot. But we're going to stay strong. We're still in business.
In Baldwin, Mercedes McKay, 5 on Your Side.
None of the jewelry store employees were hurt. This same store was robbed 2 years ago. If anyone knows what happened, they can call Baldwin Police at 636-227-9636.
Great Scott, going back in time and bringing a piece of movie history back home.
University City, that's the ticket.
St. Louis's role in Back to the Future's space-time continuum.
Once again, after a very plentiful rainy season in the summer, we've dried out considerably. A moderate drought for a lot of us. Will we see any rain this week, and how much worse this could get over the next 7 days?
The High Point Theater was the place to be tonight for fans of Back to the Future. Hello, McFly. The award-winning 1980s franchise was imagined by a St. Louis native who is home this weekend presenting his decades of Hollywood know-how. New tonight, our Annie Crawl takes us back in time.
Look out! Many love Marty McFly, but most might not know the 1985 hit Back to the Future was largely inspired by screenwriter and producer Bob Gale's life growing up in University City in the 1950s and looking at one of his dad's old yearbooks.
Would I have been friends with my dad if I had gone to high school with him? And boom, that's when the proverbial bolt of lightning, shall we say, struck me, and I said, that is a movie. A kid goes back in time and ends up in high school with his dad.
Hey, McFly! It's a line that stood the test of time for almost 40 years. When Bob Gale heard Hey McFly for the first time on set, the co-writer and co-creator knew it was going to be something special.
You know, some of this stuff happens on this set, and it's not just the line, it's the way the actor delivers the line.
One of many iconic moments across 3 movies, bringing out about 200 fans to High Point Theater Sunday, welcoming the filmmaker home for a nostalgic screening and conversation.
The script for Back to the Future was rejected 42 times before we got the movie made.
Also unpacking the franchise's St. Louis Easter eggs.
Marty lives in a subdivision called Lion Estates, and that's because of the U-City Lions that are on Delmar Boulevard. The Hill Valley sports team is called the Bulldogs. When I went to junior high school at Brittany Junior High School, it was the Brittany Bulldogs.
After a 1986 Golden Globes nomination for Best Screenplay, Gale is making his theatrical writing debut with Back to the Future, the musical. The North American tour coming to the fabulous Fox Theater next week, then premieres in Tokyo in April 2025. Annie Crawl, 5 on your side.
Back to the Future performances at the Fox start next Tuesday and run through October 6th. Gale says he'll be back in St. Louis for opening night. There's a digital lottery running every week for $25 tickets. We have more information with this story up on KSDK.com. Meteorologist Gary Frank joins us now with our weather impact forecast. Hey, Gary.
Yeah, good evening, Mark. You know, on late, but, you know, we tried to find some rain throughout the week, and it's been tough for us to find some rain, and I don't have any good news for you the rest of the next several days. We had it. That was our best opportunity. Last Sunday, I stood here right after the game and said our best chance is going to be coming from the tropics. That's how dry it is, and we saw things like this from Brian, where you could see one lone shower, and some of us got rain, but on the horizon here in Augusta, not much in other spots. So that's a lot of what we saw. And once again, a very nice sunset from Karen here. So vibrant colors, a lot of different clouds, different levels. And as the sun sets and it's clear on one side, clouds are thick and it's been raining. If you're in Rolla, these areas to the south, you've been saying, it's been raining for a while. We've been getting a pretty steady diet of this. That's how close we were to this. I've been talking about this for the last 3 days with this very slow-moving rain that is now moving basically to the east. And for tomorrow, you're going to see something real similar here as we look from Rolla all the way down well to the south, out of our area completely, right? That's what we're dealing with. Here's where the clouds stay into the overnight hours. Maybe a few more showers in Farmington, Rolla, anywhere along 44, and I think that's going to be brief, but that's something to look out for tomorrow here as well. Let's start out with overnight. We're not going to drop all that much. Mostly cloudy conditions. Temperatures still dropping 2 to 3, maybe 4 more degrees. But watch where this rain settles in. This, at least around this piece of energy, it kind of sparks up a few of these pop-up storms with the heating of the day. Just because this generates this entire storm, the outer edge of it has this lift and brings some of that. That's what we had today. Not out of the question. Once again, most of you stay dry. I still want to just to be prepared for a pop-up shower storm like we had today. But like I mentioned, we're in this moderate drought category. Some of us are in this dry. I would have bet that a lot of this moderate becomes severe by the end of this week, and this is only going to continue to rise over the next few days until we get some rain, and we just don't have any. We have many other spots where there's actually another tropical system that's going to impact the Carolinas, but as it sits here, we have this high sitting here, so once again, it pushes it out of our area, and it gets hotter and it gets drier, and I don't see that changing until probably the 23rd or 24th, where we're going to try to see this system dive down and bring us some, at least more of a level out sort of west to east flow. Until then, it's supposed to be 82 every day. It's 10 to maybe 15 degrees over that. It's warm. And our averages are just, I mean, we're not going to see much different. 88, 89, 90, our numbers in the morning are in the 60s. So it's not incredibly humid. It's not incredibly hot. Well, it is kind of hot, but it's not the worst. Could be worse in September, but man, it's hot and dry. My ground's getting crispy. How much lawn you got left?
Well, yeah, enough to keep cutting,
Yeah,
that's for
exactly.
sure. But hey, those cooler days just ahead
Yep.
after that. All right, false claims leading to a real danger. The threats one Ohio town faces after being put in the national spotlight.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats.
Right now, an Ohio town being thrust into the national spotlight because of that claim you just heard on the debate stage from former President Donald Trump. Springfield, Ohio, now receiving a series of threats over the last few days since that debate. Many of those threats targeting the city and the immigrant community. The influx of threats causing city leaders to close schools, hospitals, and other businesses had to evacuate. Trump claimed that Haitian immigrants in the area were eating household pets. The mayor of Springfield says there are no credible reports of that happening. He adds those claims are hurting the entire community.
When people take the national stage, whether it's with a microphone from their platform or whether it's even on social media, they need to understand what the cost of their words or their actions is going to do to a community. And I think that's what Springfield, Ohio is living under right now.
And Haitian community leaders also met to go over some of those concerns in the neighborhood. Tonight, members of both sides of the aisle in Congress are calling for legislative action to guarantee and protect access to IVF. Similar legislation on that popular fertility treatment stalled back in June when Republicans opposed it. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says a second vote is coming in the weeks ahead. Multiple Republican lawmakers are now urging House Speaker Mike Johnson to also hold another vote before the November election after some criticism from Democrats.
Republicans can't claim to be pro-family, only to block protections for IVF. The American people deserve another chance to see if Republicans are for access to IVF or against it. It's that simple.
The Columbia University Fertility Center says roughly 2% of all births in the U.S. come from IVF treatments. A generous man closes out everyone's tab at a Metro East bar and opens up a lot of possibilities for the staff. We'll explain next. A pleasant surprise for wait staff at a Belleville bar and restaurant this weekend. Employees working at Copper Fire say a Smithton man came in and paid everyone's bar tab, totaling $900. Then he went the extra mile and gave the wait staff a $500 tip on top. Workers tell us the tipper turned a quiet night into something they'll never forget.
We pretty much, our tips is what we make. So when you get a big tip, that's pretty much part of your paycheck. Everybody was so happy, everybody was grateful for it, and I hope he keeps doing what he's doing.
He had a little something extra for the band. He gave them $300 on top of all that. Stay right there. Another 30 minutes of news and weather is next, followed by Sports Plus and The Record.
This is 5 on your side at 10. Focused on you.
The city's rich culinary heritage and vibrant culture was on the menu this weekend in downtown for the Taste of Black St. Louis. The annual festival just wrapped up a few hours ago at Soldiers Memorial Plaza. 5 on your side's Travis Cummings shows us how it was a win-win for foodies and local business owners.
Food ready? What we got for them today?
Okay, we got bourbon chicken on the stick.
If you get a whiff of something pleasant in the heart of downtown, it's the aroma on Susan Putman's Grill.
Only at this event is the hot honey, wings, catfish, and shrimp.
Dat Bayou Concessions' menu is on the map at the Taste of Black St. Louis this weekend.
And we just give a little taste of Louisiana. We've been in business for 19 years, but we've been to the Black Taste for 2 years, and it's a vibe.
They only cook for festivals, about 15 a year across St. Louis.
It got me to stay home with my kids. It's really good, but it's just the relationships you make with people.
People come from all over to satisfy their palates with cuisine from across the region. With 60 vendors on the block, a grub, and more, it's a complete blend of black culture.
This is the first year that the Taste of Black St. Louis has a major sponsor behind them, Wells Fargo. And it's not only opening the doors for funding, but also business networking.
Thank you for coming down. To have a cohort all in one space is crucial because they don't feel alone. They don't feel like, oh, I'm going through this by myself. We do our best to supply resources for them, business insurance, make sure that they have their licensures. Y'all good?
Through food, Aisha James Caldwell is seeing to it that her community flourishes.
I am real intentional with making sure that the Taste of Black St. Louis grows and that we are able to support all of these minority and especially black-owned businesses.
It's a feast for the senses, soul, and success.
So it's fun, it's family-oriented, you make a whole lifetime friends, your customers.
Travis Cummings, 5 on your side.
This was the 5th year for the Taste of Black St. Louis. More than 250 vendors were there. A Brentwood rescue shelter let the dogs out today. HavaHeart Shelter celebrating its 8th anniversary with an outdoor adoption event at Bar K. They also celebrated taking in 3,000 rescues. Right now they have over 200 dogs looking for their forever home.
That is something that is an ongoing need. We're in a dire situation like most rescues right now. Most of our dogs come out of the commercial breeding industry, aka puppy mills. So getting them into a loving home as quickly as possible is so important for their emotional rehabilitation, socialization.
A great looking dog there. If you're interested in adopting, you can find the shelter's information in the As Seen on TV section up at KSDK.com. He's a diamond in the rough on the golf course. How working for free is helping an 80-year-old groundskeeper take a swing at life after loss.
And lots of golf time this week in the last few weeks just because it's been so dry, but that's also hurting things. If we'll see any more rain as Francine starts to work its way out and how hot it's going to be this week.
Making a Difference is sponsored by Midwest Bank Center.
We can all feel a little lost sometimes, but you're about to meet a man who turned his own grief into a gift for the community. In tonight's Making a Difference report, the octogenarian leaving an indelible mark even after life got rough. At Legacy Golf Course in Granite City, there's a secret weapon in the rough. Someone who's a cut above. Armed not with clubs, but with a trusty weed whacker, 80-year-old Ed Colson roams the course, meticulously manicuring every inch of it to help make every golfer's round a sight to behold.
I just like things to look neat, and it gives me something to do.
And though he tries to stay in the shadows, his work shines through.
People will always make comments, man, the fellow that you have working out at the golf course, he is out there weed eating all the time, or he's out there picking trash up all the time.
And how much does he get paid?
Nothing.
That's right. Even though he's out here 5 and sometimes 6 days a week, he doesn't get paid a dime.
I just do it because I want to stay busy.
Ed says what he likes best about being a volunteer is not having to clock in. And yet he shows up like clockwork.
I spring trim probably 500 trees on this golf course, and about 10 lakes, and about a dozen sand bunkers, and 18 tees, and it takes me approximately 3 weeks to cycle all the way through the hole.
Staying busy, though, is more than just a way to pass the time. It's a means of coping with an immeasurable loss.
And you, love, I really miss.
Just weeks ago, his beloved wife Marilyn passed away. Today would have been their 42nd anniversary.
I love. Happy anniversary.
Several times a week, he kneels by her resting place, chatting about his day as if she's right there beside him.
Love you and missed you. And I'm a firm believer in spirits there. I miss her. So I try to stay busy. That's gets my mind off of it.
So the golf course for this former car dealer has become a sanctuary where every carefully tended patch of green becomes a tribute to love lost and a life still to be lived.
I think it's just crucial to have a man like him just living in our community, and hopefully someone sees this and thinks, how could I give back to our community too?
In a world that seems to have lost its way, here's a reminder that even in the depths of grief, healing can be found in giving back.
He didn't want anything for it. He just wants to make a difference.
Ed Colson, volunteering his time and heart while crafting beauty and kindness along life's course.
Hopefully I can go another 10 years.
He doesn't get paid, but Ed tells me he does get a free soda and a hot dog anytime he wants it. A reminder, if you know an unsung hero who is making a difference for others, let me know by email at mbush@ksdk.com.
And meteorologist Gary Frank joins us now with our weather impact forecast. Hey, Gary.
Hey, good evening, Mark. You know, quite start to the week. We don't have any bad news that you're going to have to worry about the way you wake up, but you still have to water everything. As we look at Kirkwood Farmers Market, preparing to transition into the seasons. Typically, we look at this and we got the hay. They're setting that up, so that's going to be fun to watch. It's always kind of our seasonal thing. But what we can expect this week is the Francine remnants still sitting there. They're not really moving anywhere. They're eventually going to exit finally on Monday. As I say Monday, yeah, we're about 18 minutes away from that. Mark and I are, actually going to celebrate at midnight. It's hot and dry again, though, this week. And, I mean, I'll tell you what, temperature's still a little muggy right now. You can feel that outside. It's 74. It's calm. We got to 88 today, despite all the clouds. I mean, that's how warm it's been. So, a 65, I mean, the clouds have been around, but you'll notice where I show you Rolla at Farmington, you didn't get out of the 80, you didn't get out of the 70s. You barely got to 80 degrees in some spots. This cloud cover continues to kind of sit here. It'll probably move out a little more tomorrow, but it's still producing a few light showers from Lesterville, anywhere from south to Iron County all the way to Rolla. You're seeing most of that here into Reynolds County as well. That's going to be something similar that we have tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, throughout the day, it may spark up a few showers. Eventually, by Tuesday, we get this thing out of here, and we're not talking about it anymore. But for tonight, temps still, they'll fall into the mid-60s. They're in the mid-70s right now. But like I said, we go from a southeast breeze to an east breeze, and eventually we kind of get this stuff out of here and transition to where no more on the way. So I do expect that we're still going to head for the upper 80s tomorrow with that clouds throughout most of the day. Now, this visible satellite really shows how we've been able to see this. This visible satellite in infrared, I showed you this days ago. It was centered in Tennessee, and now it's centered here. You can see this counterclockwise motion here a little bit. It's feeding up some moisture, therefore the cloud cover. It will eventually start to die out as this high pressure nudges this out of the way, and as it does so, it's going to warm us up, and we're going to be warm and we're going to be dry. Our departure from average tells us that we should be 81 degrees this time of the year. Well, you do the math here. We're going to be pretty warm here the rest of the week. There's not much blue. We're not going to be below average. Don't look for the fall stuff. Keep the shorts out. And over the next few days, it's quiet. We may see a pop-up shower, but overall, temperatures in the mid-60s overnight, upper 80s, low 90s. It's dry. It's crispy. There is no change. Over the next 7 days, it just gets drier.
It's time for On the Move. Paul Cook here, your traffic guy from Today in St. Louis. The Missouri Department of Transportation is outlining its plans for proposed upgrades to Route D, or as most of us know it, Page Avenue. This week, MoDOT will hold a public meeting to reveal its plans that focus on a 1.5-mile stretch of Page Avenue that runs from Pennsylvania in North County all the way to the St. Louis city limits. The corridor is plagued by accidents. In fact, there were more than 380 of them between 2018 and 2022. That's about 3 times the state average. So it's clear that Page Avenue needs some work. The $7 million project is based on your feedback, traffic data, and a road safety audit. And it'll focus on sidewalks, traffic signals, and a new drainage system. Plans also call for repaving the road. You can hear all about it this coming Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. at Carter Commons Food Hall event space at 6746 Page Avenue. The open house is being co-hosted by St. Louis County staff who will discuss resurfacing and ADA improvements for Pennsylvania Avenue that intersects with Route D. Paul Cook, 5 on your side.
When the clock strikes midnight, will be 50 days from the election. We're going to give you a glimpse of the important work on both sides of the river to make sure your ballot is secure and your vote is counted. If you've ever wondered how you can know that elections are safe and secure, a conversation with a local election official is a great place to start. Tonight on The Record, we travel to election boards on both sides of the river to understand how elections are managed across the bi-state. I sat down with a Republican and Democrat in St. Louis County first to see how they combat mistrust in elections, one skeptical voter at a time. I think 26% of white American voters feel very confident there was mass voter fraud in the last major election. How do you fight that?
Well, I think here in St. Louis County, Missouri, and in Missouri in general, since we have very strict election laws requiring photo IDs, we don't mail ballots out to voters unless they've asked for the ballots. I think we try to create a climate where people have trust in the way we operate here in St. Louis County. We give tours of the place. We show people how we operate. We invite the public in to see all of our operations here, and including the audits that we do after the election when we do hand count audits. So our goal here in St. Louis County is to try to make the public aware of how we operate here in St. Louis County. We can't control what's happening in other counties or certainly other states, but we can control what goes on here. So we bring in a lot of people to see how we operate here in St. Louis County.
Are there untold stories of people who come in, do your survey, you do the show and tell, they see all your gear, and there's an aha moment? Are there people who are now believers that maybe were skeptics?
Oh, that's certainly been our experience. That, as Rick mentioned previously, we really enjoy giving tours, and really since 2016, 2020, we have tried to make that a more robust experience and to try to have more groups in. We have community groups in on a very regular basis to give them tours, and almost every time when folks finish the tour here, it's very enlightening. People tend to think, what could be interesting at the election board? It's some, austere government office, and it's really not. I mean, we're sitting out in this warehouse now. There's a lot that goes into elections, and there are a lot of robust, again, security and checks and balances in place. And when people see that with their own eyes, they understand that, if something were to happen or if somebody would try something, the election officials are going to protect them against that.
In all the acrimony, in all the red versus blue, you guys like each other? It seems like you guys get along pretty well.
We do. We're in here. We're in this job to ensure that the people of St. Louis County can vote, and that the elections are fair, honest, that we run them accurately, and without any controversy.
Does it add to the voter confidence or to the general trust that there's a Republican and a Democrat working together? How does that equation boost or amplify voter confidence?
Right. We're one of 6 bipartisan election boards in Missouri, 2 here on St. Louis side, 4 over on the Kansas City side, and I think that goes a long way to convincing people out in the field, out in the public, that a Republican and a Democrat are in every position of these bipartisan boards that manages the ballots and the equipment.
Then, across the river, if you drive through Springfield, Illinois, you might just miss it. A small strip mall in the capital city is the central nervous system for Illinois' election data. It's the State Board of Elections, and their top election officials work to dispel any concerns about undocumented migrants voting in Illinois. Can an undocumented migrant vote in Illinois?
No.
Why not?
In Illinois, you must, like in every other state in the nation, very first requirement to vote, you must be a citizen of the United States.
And to register to vote in Illinois, you have to have an ID.
Well, you have to have 2 pieces of ID to register to vote in Illinois. You have to prove your identity. You have to prove your residence. Now, once you fill out your application, your local election authority can take other steps to verify that that is in fact you and that your address is in fact valid.
What steps is Illinois taking to make sure no non-citizen votes?
We at the state board provide our local election authorities with a database, the Illinois Voter Registration System, that has tools such as a connection to the Social Security database, the federal database. Any new registration that provides a Social Security number can be checked against that. You can check death records against that. That's all available to local election authorities. They use it every single day as they vet and do their routine voter list maintenance.
You'll hear a lot more of those stories and conversations tonight on The Record, coming up in about 40 minutes, right after Sports Plus. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Everybody come out quick, look at the lights!
This holiday season marks the 35th anniversary of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and tomorrow you can get tickets to a special screening of that holiday favorite at the fabulous Fox Theater. Clark Griswold himself will be there. That's right, comedian Chevy Chase will host a live Q&A before the showing on December 13. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. on the Fox Theater's website, and that tomorrow is almost today. Gary has a final check of our weather impact.
We are just minutes away. We're counting down.
Does this change the 7-day forecast to an 8 or a 6-day?
No, it will advance it, but I've actually done some little behind-the-scenes I pulled the plugs, and we've been able to figure it out. And the thing about it is, it wouldn't matter if it advanced anyway. It's the same thing every single day. It's 88, it's 89, it's 63, it's 65. We got a couple 90s in there, Mark. So, there's not a lot of change. The only thing that's a little different is this Francine stuff we've been talking about for the last 3 days that kind of skipped my yard. I'm not sour about it or anything. They're kind of leaving tomorrow. So we're going to be back in the upper 80s, low 90s the rest of the week. We need to find friends with pools, but I would say that. But we also need to find some sunscreen because we're probably going to be.
Oh, you noticed.
I did notice.
Yeah.
Have you noticed?
It helps. All right. Well, that's all for us tonight.